right, good evening, everyone. This is call and response. Just want to say what an honor and a pleasure to be here this evening, as if we haven't been here all day. But I have to say, as mayor for the city of Waterloo, I couldn't be more proud. You know, when you take a look at the last year in 2018, you know, over $142 million worth of economic development, over 45 new businesses over the last 18 or so months. Thousands of residents are moving to downtown, and we're starting to see a shift. And I remember years ago, the question used to be, why Waterloo? But now the question is, why not Waterloo? This is one of the most historic times in the history of our downtown, and we are so proud of all the economic indicators that we've seen. We're so proud for the amenities and the quality of life that we're able to offer, and Waterloo is one of the most competitive places for attracting people and attracting business in the entire state of Iowa. And so over the last month and a half, Michelle Wiedner, our CFO, and Noel Anderson, our Community Planning Development Director, and all of our staff have had the tremendous opportunity to be able to meet a couple guys who just wandered in here by, no, but we were very excited to meet two people that are even more excited about downtown than almost that we are. And they believe wholeheartedly in the progress that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, and we are happy to be able to welcome them to our Waterloo business family. And so I know you didn't come here to hear me talk, so without further ado, I would like to turn this over to Brian Kern to come up and talk a little bit about this tremendous opportunity we have taking place. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first off, I'd like to thank everybody for being here and try to reiterate how excited we are to be here. You know, and we did kind of wander in, I guess. I remember when my sales guy from Best Western called me up and said, "You got to go to Waterloo, Brian." And he had done some homework on that property because Best Western did not have a property in Cedar Falls or in Waterloo. So he got us called. So I called up the guy. I called up Rod. I said, "Rod, you got to go to Waterloo and check this out." So Rod came, and the whole plan was for him to come, and if the thing was viable, and it wasn't, because, you know, on these deals, you got to kiss a lot of frogs. Seriously, for every one you find, you leave 50 behind, because for many reasons, they're just not viable. But we feel that this project has a lot of viability. There's a lot of people that have spent a lot of money in renovating downtown and rejuvenating it. And you can drive around, you can see it, you can see where you're headed, and this is a project that everybody's going to be proud of. And what I love is there is always some naysayers because of what's happened in the past. So I welcome that, because when we get done with it, that is going to be a project that everybody can be proud of. You know, with that, you know, we've done collectively, Rod and I, no less than 50 projects, with the majority of them being hotels. So we're not new to this, and we're not going to, you know, dip our toe in the water. We're going to dive into this thing, and we're going to make it, you know, we're going to make it look like it should be looking downtown, and we're hopeful that we can follow suit with the convention center, so the carpet match the drapes, if you will, from an interior designer standpoint. But yeah, we're very excited to be here. And again, I'm Brian Kern, the president and CEO of Makenda Development. Now I'm going to let Rod's the vice president of development, and come on forward.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. First, I want just to clarify, this is the Ramada downtown that we're talking about. So make sure you all know that. So So what Brian said, though, is true. I'm Vice President of Development, so I'm really involved and hands-on on the projects from conception till they open. And I remember several calls. He and I talk every morning at 6 a.m. I live in Minnesota. He lives in South Dakota. So we talk every morning at 6, and I meet with him once a week, and we go through all our projects. But the sales rep really was just bugging him so much that Brian gave in to pressure. This is so true. And he says, fit it in. Just get down there. So I came down on a Wednesday morning with full intentions of getting in and getting out and going back home and getting on to what other stuff we're looking at. And I'll never forget this because I really make most of the decisions, and Brian listens to what my recommendations are. He's kind of like the planning commission going to the council, and the council approves if it's recommended type thing. And I got here with an open mind, but expected to be calling him later that night and checking out in the morning and heading home. And by the time I got done meeting with, Noel and Michelle and the mayor and other people at the city hall and Betty, Jeff, right? Jim and David, and all day long, by the time the day was over, I felt such, towns are towns, and you can come into a market and say, here's a reason why you should do something, or here's a reason why you shouldn't. You can, if you're negative, you'll find reasons not to. If you're positive, you can find reasons to do it. In any market, no matter where you're at. So going here, unbiased, and I truly was. But by the time the day was done, the energy and the pride that I experienced in this town was pretty unique. And I've done projects all over the Midwest, and some in California and in Florida. So I've been around a lot. And this is very rare, and this is so true. So I called Brian that Wednesday night because he was going to fly in Thursday if I thought he should. So it was up to me to say fly in or not. I called him. I said, I can't tell you. I think you got to come in, but you're coming in, and I don't know. I need you to help me make a decision because I thought I started drinking the Kool-Aid or the water. So he flew in, and I picked him up, and without saying a thing to him and not steering him any way, any direction whatsoever, I picked him up at the airport. We drove into town, and we drove around for about an hour or so before we had a handful of meetings that afternoon. And as we're driving through, going to different parts of the town, you see the really nice stuff. You see the stuff that needs work to be done. But I explained to him, I said, well, WDCA and David Deeds and Jim Walsh and those guys are doing this, and I was telling him all about it because I learned it all. And so he sees this, and I said, well, yeah, but this is what's going on. And he go around the corner, and he sees the sportsplex, he says, wow. And it just was, by time we got to our first meeting with people that I brought in to meet him, he was starting to drink the Kool-Aid too. He truly was. And when we left, I took him back to the airport. We really started to roll our sleeves up on it and dig more in. So I've come back every week after that. He's been back most of those weeks. And we have fast-tracked this thing over 4 to 6 weeks here to the point that tonight was significant. And not only for us in this development, but this is going to be such a huge thing for downtown Waterloo. And our relationship with the city and our agreement with the city and the convention center should have been a separate deal since it was started. So they're going the right direction on this thing. And good thing is something like that, there's nowhere to go but up. So it's a good thing. But I'm excited. We're going to make a major investment here, and we are good hotel operators, and we're going to bring a dual brand. It's going to be a Best Western Plus and executive residency, which is an extended stay product. So part of it will be extended stay, part of it will be regular hotel rooms. But they could be rented overnight too. They don't have to be like long terms, 7 days or not. But so we're going to do that blend. It's a dual branded property, and it's going to be a real asset downtown. And with that being said, I think we'll turn these cards over, and we'll let someone from ISG. Cody, you going to talk, or so our architect, and we'll let him talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do here. So.
Yes, I drew the short straw tonight. I'll be talking about the exterior design of the the new Best Western Hotel downtown Waterloo here. So just briefly, I'll talk a little bit about some of the exterior improvements as well as some of the plans for the interior space. Right off the bat, you can see we're doing some work with exterior lighting. It's a cost-effective way to give this building a real punch and modernize it. We'll be replacing all the windows and PTAC units in the units. We have some linear vertical lighting as well as some additional lighting in the elevator shafts there to give it a little bit of dimensionality. And it's hard to see in some of these images, but come check them out after we're done here, and you can see the new proposed porte-cochere that we're proposing at the entryway to announce the front entry of the building somewhat. As far as some of the interior improvements we're proposing, we'll be converting the upper floors, upper 6 levels, into the executive residency, which is more of a suite layout, combining the 2 units that are there into one larger unit. And the lower levels will have just the typical single king or double queen dwelling unit. The restaurant, we'd also like to give an overhaul. So there will be a nice new restaurant on the main level there. We're going to propose a better connection to the skywalk and ultimately connection to the convention center in this front entryway. As well as renovations to the pool area, get that up and running again. This is a very exciting project to see in downtown Waterloo, revitalizing a very large building, very high-profile building in downtown Waterloo, as well as catalyzing an even larger project at the convention center, hoping to bring in outsiders and kind of rebrand Waterloo, give it a reputation that we can all be proud of. With that, I think we can take questions, or if you have anything else to say.
All right. Questions for folks.
When do you plan to start?
Tonight.
When are we done?
Well, we're proposing to close like first part of November 4th, November 5th is where our purchase agreement is at. It could vary a little bit just with closing things, but we're gonna be closing early November. And we'll start the work, right away. My wishes would be, but I'm done with that wish, is be done by June, so it's gonna be probably August or so before we're done with the renovation. But we'll start as soon as we can after we do the closing and purchase it officially. So.
Rod, would you please explain how you're going to close down and do the renovation?
We're working on that right now, deciding exactly how we're going to do that transition, and we haven't quite really officially decided how we're going to do that yet, or what way we're going to do that. One way we would just close it and completely do it. We might try to phase it a little bit, but it really depends on just our strategy and our timing on how we want to do that. So we're still, that's up. We'll have the decision made in the next couple of weeks, but it's still a moving target yet. So, but I want to say one other thing though too. So the extended stay rooms, we're talking most of the upper floors, and you see we've got accent lighting there and a band across there. There'll be about 69 extended stay rooms. So we basically take 2 rooms and make them into one. So the one bedroom turns into being a kitchen and living room area, and the other bedroom turns into be just a regular bedroom yet. And then there'd just be a passage door, like a regular communicating door. But in this situation, we're talking about doing like a barn door type thing between the living room and kind of contemporary and up to the new trends and stuff. And then we'll have about 99 regular guest rooms then. So we'll end up with 168 rooms on a 228 room building. So we're using the whole building, but we're going to be that many. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you had mentioned the swimming pool. Is that getting put back, or is it, I didn't quite catch what you said about it?
We're gonna, the pool, as far as we know, is this close to being okay to be opened again, okay? But that being said, I'm probably going to share this about the hot tub thing and stuff. The hot tub is an old hot tub. It's like 7 feet deep, but we're going to take that out. And that area there where you go from the restaurant to the pool area through the restaurant, we're going to close that off and that area then is the hot top's gonna go out, and we're gonna create what I would call a kiddie splash pad, like a zero edge, down to 18-inch deep at the most, and have some water features in there for little children and stuff. So that's what we're gonna do in that area. And then actually the back service elevator, we're gonna make that really nice, and that's gonna be the guest elevator to go down to the pool and the fitness center and the guest coin laundry. You won't be walking through the bar restaurant to go to the swimming pool anymore. So, and the restaurant, we're looking for a restaurant operator. Our preference is to lease it up to somebody that's interested in coming to town. I know there's some interest. We've been talking with the city and with Tavis, and I know the chamber too, as far as there's some interested parties wanting to come into downtown. And so our wishes would be that we could lease it up to somebody and have that taken care of. But either way, there'll be a food and beverage in it one way or the other. So, other questions?
As you know, Waterloo has been burned. I think the mayor said egg on the face earlier in the meeting tonight. Talk a little bit about financing.
About what?
Financing.
Oh, financing? You want to share in that, Brian?
Yeah, I'll take that. The financing of these projects is never the holdup. It's the vitality of it and making sure that it's viable. So the financing, we've got a lender in place that follows us around. That obviously we're not locked in at the hip there. If there's somebody locally that wants to run at it that can be competitive, we always look at that as well. But these guys, the financing won't hold it up. The financing is an absolute non-issue.
Other questions?
With this agreement that the council agreed to tonight, what exactly is the city putting into this project?
You want to cover that?
We have our CFO here.
Most of it, yeah, well, most of it's the increment that we generate from a $9.5 million assessment, from what it's assessed at 1.6 million now. I mean, that's the bulk of it, and it goes in for that. But Michelle, you want to go from there on it?
I will. Noel should really be up here, but so we have agreed to the $450,000 grant at closing. As we discussed earlier, there are 20 years of rebates at about 85% of the taxes they pay. We have also agreed to provide incentive of hotel motel tax once they exceed a certain base level, and that actually is set fairly high. So they have to maintain, I think it's probably 50-ish% occupancy to reach the base of 125,000. So that the intent is to give them a reason to keep that building full. That benefits all of us, not only them. We also, one thing we did not talk much about the development agreement, the city does have other responsibilities that we need to do. We need to make improvements to the convention center. We need to do a little refresh on the skywalks, make sure rain isn't leaking into the new hotel, for example, and clean up the parking ramps a little bit. We need to work on the access between the public areas and the hotel. So I think that pretty much covers it.
I do want to comment about that too, is in all this discussions we've had, and we've had lots of them, we, sitting there saying we're going to do this major project, but if we did this project and the convention center just sat stagnant, it's not going to work. The city's sitting here, we need to do some stuff to this convention center, but if that hotel's not going to work, it doesn't work. So this is really a collaborative effort. It took a lot of high-power meetings and lots of them, but it was critical that the pieces had to come together. And
Heated discussions.
yeah, but it had to be, and both parties have got to get moving on it. We can't do our thing and then 2 years later nothing's been done at the convention center. So they got to do some stuff, but they've got their funding that's in place for that, so they can start to do it. But now they got a reason to. If they would have put money into it a year ago, it'd have been just catastrophic. Well, now it's all going to start to happen, and so you're going to start seeing a lot of things happen over the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to be completely changed.
And in relation to the convention center, I think we have about a couple $1 million to put right into the convention center over needed projects that we'll work and we'll talk about. But also, what Rod had mentioned a little bit earlier was with regards to management of the convention center and keeping those separate. We did receive, one one business that was interested in actually managing the convention center. And I know I saw from the headlines it was like one business, but this is one of the top facility management companies in the entire United States. So we were very fortunate to have this group. We've met and we have some folks from Experience Waterloo, Main Street, and a couple of other outside folks along with city staff to take a look at that particular contract. And then we'll be having some more communication, and all those things will be brought to the City Council for an actual vote for the management contract. But when you talk about first class, we don't necessarily believe anymore in cutting corners. We want a first-class facility. We want to continue to attract people to downtown Waterloo, and that is the same vision of this management company as well. So in the future, that will be coming to the City Council for a vote.
Brian, do you want to just comment about it? Because when we found out who it was, and then when I let you know who it was, he was actually quite elated about it because of, if you want to share with them.
Yeah, there's a company out there that was recently sold. I believe it was, I think it was last year. It's called CBM. They were a $100 million company. They did predominantly prisons and big facilities like this, convention centers and prisons. But they sold. It was a company that was started by a gentleman, and his 3 sons ran it, and they sold last year. And I happened to be in Napa with him last weekend, and I was asking him his take on it, because now they sold that, but they still have a dozen restaurants that they have, and now they're starting in the education side of things. They're doing high schools, doing the food service in the high schools. So of course I was jokingly saying, "Hey, maybe want to throw your hat in the ring." He says, "No, I got a non-compete, so he can't go down that road." But I asked him about Spectra, and his eyes lit up, and he says, "They're the 400-pound gorilla in that arena." So I think he absolutely endorsed them and said that we were on the right track there. So it was really, really good to hear.
All right, any other questions?
The improvements to the convention center, what exactly are we talking?
Well, we also work with ISG to not just take a look at the convention center, but all our facilities. But they also did a assessment over the convention center, and there's several different projects. But I think what's important outside of the projects they had, we also need to work with these folks here too. And we're talking about just in general, outside remodeling. We're talking about some internal things that you may not see, but will help the center operate more smoothly. But we need to coordinate the list of items that we have been given from ISG, and we need to coordinate those with the hotel operators and also with the management company once we bring them in. So we're talking about a new look and an entirely new feel to the convention center, and making sure that we're parallel with some of the changes that have been made to the outside of the hotel as well. So we want a first-class, beautiful facility. So there'll be some internal things done as well, but we're coordinating those items.
Just to clarify, do you wait until you get a management company in place to start the renovation, or can you start it before that?
Well, we're talking about having a management company. So I don't want to go too far in the past because we're in the new, but the management contract is up December 31st, 2019. So we're already a couple months away. So we're working right now through all the logistics, and we need to get this to council so council can look at it, approve it once we have some more conversation and bring that forward. But that time frame is moving by very quickly. So we're only talking about a month or two with those regards. Yes, sir.
Me?
Yes, sir.
You never called me that.
What have I called
Rod
you?
or Brian, where does Best Western Plus fall in the price range?
It falls, I think the $90 to $120 range, I would say. just depending on the market and the timing.
So upper mid segment of lodging, not the luxury segment, but the upper mid, so. Then the extended stay, which is a completely different scenario, though, the executive residency would be kind of similar to, it'd be more of an upper segment of a regular extended stay type property, the regular big brand stuff, so just a titch up higher too.
What kind of market for those extended stay suites?
That can be everything from corporate, from training to relocating. Someone has a house, something happens to their house and their house burns down or their water pipes freeze and they need to go somewhere for 3 months till their house is fixed. That's a perfect client for it. But a lot of corporate type stuff. If someone's in town from Monday through Friday on a regular with regular work and they're going to be there for the week, they can stay there because they got full kitchens in them, and they can it's a little bit better than just staying in a regular hotel room at night. So typically in the industry, an extended stay in the lodging industry or hospitality industry is 3 to 4 nights or more per week. So it just really kind of just a fine crossover between what's overnight lodging and not, because a typical lodging for corporate travel or leisure travel is 1.6 nights. So, it falls into you get 3-4 nights in and you consider that an extended stay. Now, if you're going to be here for 3-4 nights and you don't want to be in a room like that, you can just stay in the regular hotel room too. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. And we actually are bringing in a segment that's not touched here. There is an extended stay in the city, a franchise extended stay, but our segment's a little bit up over that. So, a little higher demographic, higher price point than that. But that's it. There's lots of rooms and lodging. So we'll have 99 of them, instead of 228, but then we're going to be entering in about 69 of an extended stay, which is just a no-brainer. So.
All right, any other questions? Well, we want to thank you for being here, and we want to thank these gentlemen as well, and ISG and city staff, and all the council as well for supporting this project. So, good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.